All right, looking at this Euro 50 index. Wow, I drew this out absolutely perfect. You can't make this up. So yeah, I was looking for a short position. After this, I've been wanting to short this for a long time. So starting with, I wanted to short it here actually, and then it broke through here. So I was mad about that, but then I figured after this candle, there's some good bearish momentum in the market, big bearish engulfing candle. So I was like, perfect. And yeah, then it broke this area, created all these little mini zones here. Delete this because I missed my alert. And yeah, it had this nice zone here, and completely came in, just touched it perfect, and boom, complete sell-off. I didn't expect this to do this in 4 days, but it clearly did with its momentum. Even seeing that this candle came up, retested this area, which is perfect, and then closed way below, so you could have entered even there too. And all the way down to 4180, which was my monthly range for this. So it's about 300 points from here to here. So that was my monthly range, and then I knew I'd probably be targeting the bottom of this zone, but it might not break below it, but clearly it did. And 4180 seems to be holding this so far, but this is a pretty bearish candle, and there's still 6.5 hours left, so it could break below 4180 still. But that is the monthly range. It usually moves about 300 points in a month, and so that's what it's done. So I do think that that could be the end of it, the end of the downwards move. It might start retracing a bit, but yeah, pretty crazy to see this trade play out perfect. This was the monthly trade I had, and it's about 2 weeks early, so which does happen a lot. So because the monthly range for this is 300 points, it usually doesn't take all month for it to do that. Usually it'll do that in like the first couple weeks or the last couple weeks, or like if the first 2 weeks of the month are consolidation, then the next 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks will become the actual impulse move and take it from its top of the range to the bottom. So this just happened to do it in the first 2 weeks. So yeah, I could see this coming back up a little bit, but this is a perfect trade. I mean, unreal, perfect trade. Just very clean, steady move. Once it started moving, just 4 days in a row, bam, 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 bam. That's what we like to see. I like to get into. I missed this position, but it's nice to see trades, price move accordingly, right? You can basically get in a trade, hold it for the week, and then by the end of the week you just take your profits, and it's moved completely 100% in your direction. It's just nice to see. So you can actually see this bearish candle here, bearish on the weekly as this closes, which there's still 6.5 hours left, but took out this zone completely, and it's super engulfing. And even last week's candle was very weak. It was a pullback candle, and then didn't make it very far. So this tells me that this is super bearish now, and it's just breaking below this moving average and wants to go lower. So I'm gonna like I said, this month is kind of burnt out most likely, but we'll see. I mean, if this closes below the zone, it can keep going, definitely can keep going. I like to really keep my monthly ranges in mind, because I think we get a little ahead of ourselves because we're like, oh, it broke the zone, it can keep going, blah blah blah, and it's like, it can, but its normal range for the month is 300 points. So I mean, you kind of have to base your trades on that. So like, am I short to Euro 50? Yes, definitely. But for the rest of this month, probably not as much, because it's also hitting this major zone, which can cause an issue. Even if it creates what it could be doing right now, let's say this candle closed right now, it could be creating a lower liquidity zone below this one, but then still end up getting bought up. So even though it's creating a lower liquidity zone, it could still function as the bottom and then come back up. So I just like to wait for my months to reset. So like, basically the way I look at this is it has 300 points of range, and it's completely used them all. So now I have to wait till next month for it to use its next 300 pips of range, 300 points. I guess they're not really pips for this index, but so because it's all out of movement for this month, I have to wait till next month. So I mean, but it could break the zone and keep going. I mean, there's nothing saying it can't. I just like to use my averages in my favor, and they, it's worked really well for me. So I think the idea of like, oh, it can just keep going, it can just keep going, it's like, well, yeah, but this is its normal range. Doesn't just usually do that. So there's usually, and like, this is an area of resistance. So I mean, this is a good area for it to get bought up. And there's also this area right here that would function as one as well. So which is also like prices in that area. So there's just a lot of resistance in this area as well. So which would cause price to not be able to just break through it, so and fall. So there's a very good chance it gets bought up relatively soon, either now or more in this zone, or if it creates a new zone down here. But you know, I could see something like this for the rest of the month, and then it just getting a lot slower towards the end of the month, and then our position sets up for next month, and then you get like a nice short position, something like right here, and like this is literally your trade. That plus like 300 points all the way down to like 38.80 or whatever, you know, something like that. And then 39.80, and then yeah, like that's your trade for next month. But you have to wait for it to set up, and you have to let everything gain its ranges back, and you know, let price come back up, find its area of, you know, find its liquidity area for the shorts, where everyone wants to sell it from. Maybe it's this area here, 4,300, nice even number. I'm actually gonna mark that down because I like that. 4,300. I'm gonna call this right now. It could be completely wrong, but I just see patterns. So there's your 4,300 level. See price come back up to it for next month, and then boom, get into it and short this, make almost a 10R, and have a nice clean move again, just like we had this month. Pretty much straight down, a little bit of a pullback, and then boom, straight down. So that's what I would like to see next month for Euro 50, and I will wait for that.